Hello and welcome to this week's episode, everyone. My name is Zane. Don't ask why, just put an I. And with me this week is Omina.
Do 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 do.
Hello. Hey. Hey-yo.
Hi, Zan. It's been a minute.
It's been before you just did the do. So do I still insert the do
Yes,
or have you already
I
done
want
it?
it to be doubled.
You want to double the do?
Yeah, I want it to be like. Then want people to be like, did it happen twice? No, it was me.
All right. But yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a while. It's been like a couple of months, I guess.
No,
We
it's
we've
been like
already
2 months. It's been like two. Well, we recorded one, but you didn't post it. So
yes.
I gave something away to the people listening right now that we did have a recording that we could have put out, but we decided to hold it tight because it was just so spoopy. We thought it'd be better in October. So we did our due
Yes.
diligence and recorded. We just didn't post it.
We didn't post it. It's all edited. I got it all ready. But yeah, I feel like because of the nature of that episode, it will better be suited later in the year, not during a pandemic and not during some in some stuff that's been happening in the world since the last time we recorded. So we'll hold off on it, and it'll be a nice treat. It's a nice episode. It came out really nice too on the really
It was
nice.
really fun to record it. I'm not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
like it was very fun, and I've actually like been listening to a lot of our older podcasts that we've done, and I just was I'm when I go and I listen to while I run, and I laugh. I'm laughing.
We're actually funny.
I know, and I'm like, oh, and I cringe it when I talk, and I'm kind of like, wow, if I was listening to this podcast, I would hate me the most. So kudos for people who listen to me, but uh, y'all are funny.
we funny. No, I think it's just the nature of podcasts that when you hear yourself talking, you sound cringy. Because I hear myself, I do the editing, and I hear myself talk. I'm like, ugh. Let me fast forward over my parts. Let me just clean it up and then fast forward. I don't mind hearing you guys talk, and like I can hear you guys full on. But then when me comes, I'm like,
Well, there was one episode where I was like, "Shut up," to myself. I was like, "Shut up! Like you're being so obnoxious." And I was like, "Oh, I gotta really not be obnoxious." But you learn.
Well, it's funny because it's since we started doing the Root podcast, I have this post-it note on top of my computer for the last maybe year or so, and it's only been there because of all the episodes that I had to record, and it just says "stop saying like" on in bold text,
Oh, I know.
because I say like way too many times during the
Same.
podcast, and I really got to stop doing that.
Same. I
That
say
and
like too.
like and I say a lot, and like
Yeah. And
So I'm trying to, yeah,
the problem is then I get in my head, and then I
yeah.
actively am like, "Oh, there it is."
Oh, there it
I'm
is.
like,
There,
"Oh
I said it
no, I
again.
can't even stop." Oh no.
And there's points where when I'm doing the editing where I'm like, hey, I did it again. Where I'm like, uh, oh, I should just edit it out. No, I can sound perfect to our listeners, but I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna leave it in because I did it. I did it again.
Obviously, this is how
And I
we
can just.
talk, right? We're obviously talking like this, and if it
Yeah.
bothers people, it bothers people. This is not formal. I'm not doing a speech where I don't need to put my fillers in. It's fine.
It's fine. I don't even care if it bothers anyone else. It bothers me.
That's
that's
true.
that's all who bothers. But I mean, no. Thank you for all the listeners too. I mean, I know like we've gotten a huge bump ever since. I guess it's because more people are staying indoors because of the pandemic. But we've gotten a recent bump, like a lot of bumps, and it's been nice. So all the new listeners out there, hello. How's it going?
Hi. And you like the spoops, and I'm trying to bring the spoops, you guys.
Yeah, we got the spoops ready. Like, I know that we it's been kind of off and on with the recording, but we'll get better. We'll get better once the things get better, and
Honestly,
yeah,
it's not that we don't have the time these days. We forget. Oh,
we just forget. Oh.
oh, oh, hello. Wow. I didn't expect this.
And Sumra.
Uh, sorry for the kind of walking in 10 or I don't know how many minutes later.
5 minutes.
5 minutes later. I was
Not too bad though.
I was having some important conversation.
We were just talking about how we've been listening to one, we were saying thank you to the recent bump in listeners, and two, we were talking about how when we listen to this when I listen to this podcast, you pick out all the things that you do that bother you. So saying like a lot or talking too much.
We've had a bump in listeners.
Yeah, that's what she got out of that.
So I can tell you who one of the listeners are. They're actually sitting down right next to me and would like to say something.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, wow.
Special guest in the flesh.
I have an eye. Just don't ask why.
This is making me uncomfortable. I feel very seen.
I'm a big fan.
Oasis has been listening to us quite a bit.
Yeah, so I've contributed to that increase in, in the listening. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. Is there any notable things that you kind of got out of it?
The notable thing.
Anything fun? Like, I don't remember any of the episodes. Like, I haven't listened back. So, is there anything that we said that was fun or outlandish?
He never listened to our podcast before until literally he just recently started listening to it. Like this past month, I think.
Yeah, and what I would say is it's just a very fun and very casual sort of experience, and very very relatable. I would say to folks that resemble us, and I would also say that some very cool stories, like the ghost stories, the stories about just very very relatable stories, very cool stories. So just wanted to say hi and say that you guys are doing great.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
It's a nice little, pat on the back, right?
He's eating pistachio ice cream. Can you get me one?
Sure.
We finally did it.
Oh, wow. We made it.
We made it. 80 episodes later, we finally did it.
I feel like we've peaked.
We peaked right here.
Yeah. Speaking of cool stories, wow, segue. Oh, I've gotten much better at that. But speaking of cool stories, I wanted to ask you guys, I was telling Zan this, Samra, before the podcast started, we started recording. So as Samra knows, I've been watching this show. Well, I took a break from it because Samra knows I also do this to myself. That I was watching the show Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say has become my absolute favorite psychological serial killer show I've ever seen. It is so good. And
I've been getting the notifications from Netflix a lot about it. So I haven't gotten around to see it, but it's on my radar to watch.
Yeah, no, it is excellent. And the problem is that when I watch these things, Summer knows I get very
into it.
I get anxious and I get panicky because
panicky, paranoid, anxious, all the above.
Because I binge it. I feel like if I watched it one episode at a time, I could de-stress from it like a normal person. But I binge watch it, and so then my whole day is enveloped in death and sadness, right? So that's not good. But I've taken a break. I haven't finished it yet. But as I was watching it, I started. Okay, so the show Hannibal is about. Have you guys seen Silence of the Lambs? Both of you?
I have not seen it. No, I've seen clips of it. I've seen a lot of clips of it, but I've never seen the movie.
Never seen it.
What? Okay.
It's another one on my list.
Wow, I'm very surprised that both of you haven't seen it. Well, okay, it's about an investigator, and she's investigating this terrible crimes that are occurring, these murders that are obviously happening from a serial killer, and she enlists the help of a serial killer who's in jail. And his name is Hannibal Lecter, and he's a cannibal, Hannibal the Cannibal. And the movie is really good. It's like, a classic. Everyone knows Silence of the Lambs, right? So this show is based off a novel in which Silence of the Lambs is also based off of, called Red Dragon. And it's about Hannibal before Hannibal was, Hannibal. And it's about his relationship with another detective. And as I was watching it, so when you watch the movie, you become very, like, you like Hannibal. He's terrible. You know what he's done, but you still like him. But you also are, there's an ending scene and you're like, oh my God, he's actually crazy. But in the show, I was starting to really like him. To the point where I'm like, I would still be, like, you see him do terrible things. You know he's done very, very terrible things. But you start to root for him.
You start sympathizing with him?
Not even sympathizing. You're like, I would join him. And you're just like, oh. And that's what I wanted to bring this conversation to.
Oh.
Because I was at a bachelorette party last two weekends ago, I think. And the conversation came up of the show, and we started talking about cuts of meat on a person. Like, what would be the most tender cut on a human?
Oh, boy.
And I looked internally within myself, and I said, this is one of the most shameful conversations I've ever had.
How timely, too.
What do you mean?
No, just like the current climate of, everything. It's like you're thinking about cuts of meat on your body.
Well, I was like, well, it has to be tender. I would think the back, and I'm like, I wonder, and I guess it would just taste like meat. And it was so casual, and I was like, wow. So I wanted to ask you guys and turn it on to you. When was the last time you were thinking a certain thing and you had to go, wow, that was not good?
Well, I mean, I remember the earlier for me was because like you asked me this question before, and the first thing that popped up was Breaking Bad for me, like that show where I mean, as much as, and maybe it's just due to the writing, or maybe it's just the way, yeah, whatever. Like I really sympathized with Walter White and his entire journey in that entire show from start to finish. Like I know, like I read online threads of people really hating him, really loving him, but I was in the camp of loving the guy because for me it just made sense where he's coming from a point of view where he has cancer, he's trying to support his family, so the actions that he's taking, albeit extreme at points, was justifiable, in my opinion. And it could be pretty effed up if you really look at it, because he's done things really crazy where if I were in that position, maybe I wouldn't have done it, but I didn't see why he wouldn't have done it, And just recently, a more recent example was Ozark for me, where I was telling you guys recently where I was watching Ozark, where Ozark and Breaking Bad are very similar in the nature of the way they kind of tell the story of it's a family, they're going into the drug cartel business, and with Ozark they take it a very different approach where the entire family is in it, and so they all are doing their parts to make the family sustainable and also push this agenda of the drug cartel. So same thing where Jason Bateman's character, Marty, yeah, I think his character's name is Marty, where it's like you would sympathize. I sympathize with him again, where I was like, yeah, I understand it completely. I completely understand that he's killed people in the show. He's done really bad, messed up things where he had people kill other people for him, and it's like, I understand it though.
But I can't even defend that, Zan, because at least they had one's protecting his family or one had cancer. There is absolutely no reason why I should be sitting here
not at all
wanting to be like, yeah, I want to hang out with Hannibal the Cannibal who murders people in the most atrocious ways possible just for funsies. And I'm sitting here well, he seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah, see, that's a little bit more extreme than me. I don't think.
And then I start talking about like, well, I wonder what. I mean, maybe I would. No, I would not try. I want to put it out there to people. I'm not saying I would ever, 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 ever in a million years ever want to try human meat. Nor do I think that is a good thing. Nor do I want to normalize it. It's disgusting and terrible, and it's universally abhorred. However, it is meat.
It is meat,
and I've seen it, and I'm just like, well, it is what it is, and
it is meat.
It.
I just think of that character from Mortal Kombat. I don't know if you remember that, Amna. You know that character, Meat.
Meat that was literally just a human filleted.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I imagine when you say it's just meat.
That should be the name of the episode. It's just meat.
It's just meat.
I find this.
We have the meat.
Oh God. I find this. I mean, to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time.
Really, Samra, you've never had a shameful thought?
No, I mean, listen, we've all had shameful thoughts. That's not the question here. The question that we're having is watching something. Have we ever felt like okay with somebody doing something that is as bad as eating human flesh or cooking up meth? I don't think I've had that, but I think it's also because I don't usually watch those shows to begin with, not too much, and then when I do watch them, I don't like dive into it. I kind of take a long time to go through a show, so maybe that's why I don't.
Well, think about Game of Thrones. The horrid ending. Aside, I mean, I liked Cersei. She was terrible, but I liked her.
That's another good example. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not saying that I agreed with what she did. It was terrible. But I also saw her point. She loved her family.
No, see, I didn't. I listen, as a character, as an actress, so I think she did a wonderful job, absolutely. But I wanted to see her go down. I was just like, I get that you were doing it for your family. So once it happened once and it went sour for you, wouldn't that have been a lesson enough? And it clearly wasn't, because it wasn't a lesson until she literally lost everything. So for me, I didn't think of it that way. I wasn't like, let me root for. Maybe there was a point towards the end when, and I think we've already discussed Game of Thrones, so that's why I don't care I'm saying this. So spoiler if you haven't, but maybe towards the end when Khaleesi went on that ridiculous rampage. Maybe at that point you had a slight bit of, oh my God, maybe Cersei wasn't that bad.
Well, because Cersei didn't unleash hellfire onto every single citizen
right.
that ever was.
You're like, ooh, wait a minute, now this person who is
you rooted for.
But
Game of Thrones aside, I see what you're saying.
Almost the whole series, I was very frustrated with her because I'm like, I understand why you did some of the choices you made, but once it just went south with the first big issue, you should have stepped back and kind of looked. Plus, she had that prophecy that came her way, so she should have known. Like, let me make sure that I'm not doing that.
But what about Dexter?
I didn't really see Dexter, so I can't comment.
Okay. So that's the thing. There are certain characters that do terrible things that are made to be likable, right? And I don't think it's necessarily finding them likable that's a problem. That's why they do it. What's a problem is when you're like, you look and you're like, would I excuse their behavior because I like them? And then you're like, am I a terrible human being? Maybe.
Because it brings up the conversation of like when it comes to strictly just characters, it's like we talk about villains that are so evil that you love them kind of thing. I think that's like kind of what it is, where we're talking about Cersei. I know that what was I just thinking of? Oh, Thanos, where it's just like, you understood his point of view, and like you may have hated him for doing what he did in the first Avengers movie. He did have I guess a conversation that kind of arose from the reasoning for that he did it for.
Well, again, Thanos had a reason. He's like,
Yeah.
well, this universe is not sustainable. People are dying of famine. We can have a prosperous life if we just cut everything in half. Hannibal just likes the taste of meat. And
Yeah,
he's like, he sees human beings as pigs. Like, he sees them as livestock. He has no regard for human life. But he's very put together. He's very smart. He's very classy. He's kind of charming and funny and, very good at semblancing of human emotion. And you're just like, I want to believe that he would keep me alive. He'd kill me.
No, he wouldn't. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know. I wrestled with this. I'm like, no, I would be dead. I'd be that stupid person that's be dead. But, I don't know what to tell you.
Now, what about like cults, right? Like, Jeffrey
What
Dahmer.
about 'em?
Like, would that be like, would that be a kind of similar to what you're talking about, where it's like, those people who believed in someone's saying, someone's word, and they believed it enough that there was a cult that kind of cultivated from that.
I guess you're right. I guess if someone's really like eccentric and charming and, very persuasive, if you have a
Yeah.
weak spot that they tap into, which they're very good at, then yeah, I could see in that sense how someone could join a cult. However, I don't know. I mean, I can see.
Would you be in the Hannibal cult if there was one?
No, because you know what? Like, look, if I don't know.
It's weird.
Because when you watch the show, you're watching it so intimately. You're seeing every conversation. I mean, obviously, if I saw Hannibal once and like, oh, he was a really good psychiatrist, but then I found out he murdered all these people, I probably wouldn't be like, oh, but it's Hannibal. I'd probably be like, he's crazy. But I've seen him in a very different light, very intimately. So then you're just like, oh, well, I like this character. But no, I would hope that I would have the cojones to just be like, no, he's terrible. He deserves to,
Or, it's like, what I just said earlier. It's like, maybe it's just the way the show is written. Maybe the show is written to kind of give you that point of view of Hannibal. Hannibal. But I said
Annabelle's so
Hannibal.
sympathetic.
Yeah, right. So like maybe they were written the character that way, but in actuality, he probably was a scumbag, and we don't know.
Do you ever think about
kind of
that?
like
You brought me to cults. My mind jumped.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about cults? And if there was ever like, do you ever think if you would be persuaded to join a cult?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like what you said. Like, it depends on like what they tap into you that kind of like gets you to kind of follow blindly. I mean, in a more light-hearted way, there are some kind of cults. For example, like I think of Apple fans. Like that's a cult of its own in a way, in a weird way.
Mr. Google Samsung cult over there.
I only bring it up because I had this huge argument with all my, once again, just a classic Android Apple thing. Had an argument with my cousin and my brother Maz over the weekend when I went over, and we were having this argument talking about this, blah 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 blah. And then just today I bought an iPad, so that's why it's all. That's why it's all.
God.
And not an iPhone, an iPad. I just got an iPad.
That does not matter. You have bought an Apple product.
Yeah, because I admit that when it comes to tablets, like there's no one does it better than Apple, so I got the iPad. So
you not doing Apple was not so much the iPhone. It was
It
the
was
whole
just
thing of not getting an Apple product.
yeah, I had to do it. I had to do it. I
And now
wanted to.
you have an iPad.
Now I have my foot. My foot has dipped into the Apple territory.
You
I'm
didn't
now
just
like,
dip. You got 2 legs in.
I got 2 legs in. I got my feet wet. I got my beak wet. You know what I mean? My
Pretty
beak
soon
and
you're
feet.
gonna have the iWatch.
Beak and feet.
And then you're
Don't
gonna
talk about your feet, your porky feet. We don't even talk about that.
pretty soon you're gonna get an iWatch, and then you're going to be like, I just got an iWatch. I didn't get an iPhone. And then you're gonna realize,
No, it's not.
no, and then you're gonna realize, wait a minute, I want everything of mine to be synced. Let me just get the iPhone.
And like that, and to turn it all back around, that's the cult. That's the cult mentality, right? Where it's like, hey, we only want you to become part of the ecosystem. Ooh, and like they kind of
Don't you
entice
wanna
you
be
with the
part
first
of
one.
the ecosystem?
See, that's the thing. Don't you want to be? Yeah, of course. It's when you have the ecosystem, it makes it so easy to have everything be connected to each other. But that's how they get you. They're like, oh, just here, take this little
Let me get
thing.
this straight.
Oh, but don't you want the other thing?
Wait, let me get this straight. You want to be pollution to the ecosystem?
No. I'm saying, but that's how. No, I'm saying like that's how the ecosystem starts, where it's like, hey, you can get the iPad first, but then it's like, oh, don't you want the the AirPods Pro with it? It sounds better, and like, oh yeah, sure, I'll get that.
No,
And like you said, then you kind of you get bigger, join more and more into it.
no, that's when you have to make a proper decision. I don't have AirPods.
No AirPods for you.
No, and guess what? Guess what? I have an iPad. I have an iWatch. I have an Apple phone, and I have a Mac.
There you go. Look at
But
that.
I don't have AirPods. You want to know why?
Why?
Because that's the invention of Apple that I've refused to buy.
Why?
Why?
Because like those dumbest little things in your ear, they're
But
so dumb and they cost
but
so much money.
but but it's Bluetooth though.
So I
You
think
can
you
get
can get
Bluetooth
better.
headphones.
You can get
Yeah.
Bluetooth speakers, or headphones. Exactly. Why do you need those stupid little white things? I hate when people have them. I just want to rip them out of their ear.
Oh, boy. Well, anyway, Apple's a
I
cult.
was just asking about cults. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know where it got to.
we yeah, we got straight a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I'm
cults.
glad, but cults.
Like,
Yeah, no.
of a cult, I think of something bad. Like I think of like a scary cult.
Well, what
Like
about stands? I feel like stan culture is a cult.
what's stan culture? I've never heard of this.
Like stands, like people who are like, well, it comes from an Eminem
Diehards.
song, but like very, very die-hard fans.
Yeah. Because it's like, let's say, like it would be like, hey, I am a stan for Android. Like I am like a massive diehard fan of someone, kind of, or something. That's what you call yourself, a stan.
Term, but I mean, I guess that's weird too. You can't be that,
Because it's like you think of. I always go back to that example of Justin Bieber back in the day, where an anonymous person made a fake tweet using Justin Bieber's Twitter, being like, oh, shave your head for Bieber kind of thing, and a lot of people did it. And it's, I don't know, I guess, yeah, that would be a weird cult too. The stands out there.
Yeah,
that's a good point, Amna. It's a good point.
I like to say, when you make stupid decisions, you're stupid.
Well, okay. I think people who are in real cults who are like exploited are not stupid, but okay.
Yeah, what about Scientology? That's another cult.
Yeah,
that's another
like people who are abused who join a cult because they find community or something. Like I don't blame
solace.
them. If you're joining a cult,
but they don't know it's a cult. What if it's like, oh, this is a support group, a support community, and then it becomes like it's actually a cult, but you don't know it's a cult?
Once you start noticing weird situations, you need to get out.
I think it's very easy for us to say, but if someone's priming you, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah. I'm thinking of another example here, right? And I think this is a good example of a. It's not maybe it's not a cult per se, but it does have cult like stuff to it, where you think of these Amway and these MLM sellers. You know what I'm talking about? Like where they are in this cult of like, or maybe not, I guess maybe cult is the wrong word, but they're in this kind of this society, this group, this community of people where they do is like they get these, they get products, they sell it to their friends and family, and they get more, and it's a whole idea of a pyramid scheme. And then when you go to these recruitment like seminars, and I've been to a couple now, they go to these places and it's all fabricated. Everything is a lie. Like you have these people in business suits, jumping around, dancing, screaming, yelling, and like having a great time. And like, oh my god, I'm a diamond member. Oh yeah, I'm a double jade member. Oh yeah, I'm a double whatever, ruby plus sapphire, whatever. And like these guys are yelling and screaming, and like they're having a party, and like, oh, free food, and like they're setting off all these celebrations out there. And it's all fabricated because they're just trying to fool the 10, 15 people that's in the first two rows. Everyone else is just a plant there, everyone else is there just to make you believe in like, oh man, you can make so much money if you join us.
Like a pyramid scheme. It's a pyramid scheme.
A pyramid, yeah. And like they throw all these jargons, these mumbo jumbo keywords where it's like, oh my god, don't you want to be a double platinum diamond level? You're like, oh my god, yes I do. Like, I'm going to make thousands of dollars.
What's the makeup? The big one, the big pyramid scheme that everyone joins. They sell that makeup, Sumra.
Oh,
Marie K, not Marie K.
Yeah, Mary Kay.
It's like something like that, where it's like literally, and everyone's in it. Like someone who sells that makeup, but you have to buy it to sell it. That is kind of cultish. I agree.
Because like I think back to my experience with like the last time I went to one of these seminars, and a family friend of ours, this guy, I'll bleep his name, Roy Jolly, remember him?
Oh
yeah. I remember talking to him and him exploiting me at the time, being like, hey, I've heard that you're doing temp work and blah blah blah, you want to have a full-time position? I'm like, yeah, of course. He's like, oh, I'll pick you up in a car and just meet me here, and we'll drive there together. And I'm like, oh cool. So me being like, oh yeah, whatever, this is awesome. And you're like, I'm gonna get, there's a business opportunity, of course. And then once I got to the hotel and got to the hotel conference room, I was like, oh, this is just an MLM scheme. Okay, cool. Awesome.
But the thing is you're aware enough to
I'm aware of it. Yeah.
Not to make a dumb decision.
Yeah. But then the person that was sitting right next to me, he was sold. Like he was just a guy that just came from India or wherever he may have came from, and he was sold. And like seeing him being, very enthusiastic and be like, yeah, I'm finally going to join this. And oh yeah, let me get like 50 boxes of this, this item, and let me sell it to my friends. It's like, ugh.
They're gearing it towards. They're gearing it towards the desperate mind.
Yeah.
They're gearing it towards, I hate to say it, people who are looking to just do a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
And so you have to, like, if you're in that mindset, then yeah, you're going to fall for it, and I don't feel bad.
Yeah. Cults, man. Cults are interesting.
There's
so many. There's a spectrum of cults.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, it's a spectrum.
This is not the typical cult. Mine's like, when someone thinks of a cult, they think of like Jonestown. Drinking the Kool-Aid. That was actually very terrible.
Like a weirdo thing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
they say like, and I'm only gonna quickly touch on this, but they say like like the religions and stuff, like, oh, some people believe those are cults. So it's like it's such a broad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the definition of a cult? I'm just curious. I just want to know what is the definition of. I'm looking up right now. Okay, so it is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object.
There you go.
There.
So like God.
Yeah. But not necessarily, because it says a figure or object. So it could be, a statue. It could be anything. A network. They use the example of a network of Satan worshiping cults. So I guess it could be a deity. It could be anything, I guess. So whatever you believe in, I guess. A particular figure, yeah.
Interesting. Well, then,
Very interesting.
what's the difference between religion? What's the definition of religion?
Oh, let's see. The belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods.
So what's the difference?
Not much. not,
Uh-oh.
not much.
Guys, we're all in cults. Summer, we're all stupid.
What?
Well, I just typed in religion versus cult, and the first thing that pops up is a quote by, I guess, Frank Zappa, whoever that is, and he says the only difference between a cult and a religion is the amount of real estate they own.
Wow.
Well, what's the actual Webster dictionary?
Yeah, that's what we just read, chums. Where were you?
No, but he's Frank Zapp quote.
No, you were
What?
literally gone. He said both definitions. You are not involved in this conversation. I'm calling you out. He said both of them.
I didn't hear the Webster one.
Oh my!
What Webster one?
I did it. Definition of a cult, and he then did the definition of religion, and they were pretty much the same.
What was the definition of the cult?
What?
I heard that one.
Okay.
I heard the definition of the cult. But did you only quote somebody for religion?
No.
All right, okay, I'll say it again. I'll say the definition of religion again. Let me find it really quick. Okay. The belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's why people think that religion's a cult, because it's a group of people believing in some sort of higher power.
Right.
It's how you think that. Are you going to now go and buy $50 million in the name of, some religion? I would hope you wouldn't. If you don't
but there are a lot of people who think cults, like people who just live in communes, like, oh, they live in a cult. They're not buying 150 million of crap. I'm just saying, like, that's a cult.
The decision behind, like, that's where I'm like, you're stupid. Don't make dumb decisions.
It's all relative, man. Someone could think that what we do is dumb.
True that.
Like,
some people think
a bakra and a half each year. We're like, oh, you have a new baby girl? Let's sacrifice a bakra.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's a smart thing. But now
we do it.
And now we're going to get a fatwa.
Oh, no. They're comparing cult to Islam.
I'm trying to find like an article that kind of says what the difference is, and most of the articles that I'm reading, it says there's not really much. Other than the fact that, like, it says cult, like here I read that cults do not only break laws, but they also offend religions. So I guess they're trying to paint cult as being like, yeah, there is no difference, but cults are more for the evil intentions versus the pious intentions.
Maybe like a traditional cult also is to the benefit of a singular human, right? So like someone who's a cult leader, the truth is they're not doing it necessarily because they believe in whatever they're saying. They might be doing it because they get something out of it, whether that be followers, whether that be
monetary gain,
maybe physical gain, whatever. Yeah. That might be the difference. Now, I'm not saying that religious leaders don't also take advantage of people and have monetary and or physical gain, because they definitely do.
Yes, they can. Absolutely.
So I don't know. I guess we all can sit here and act like we're not idiots, but maybe we are idiots, and
maybe we are all. Yeah, maybe we're all in a cult.
We are all a bunch of idiots. There's no doubt about that. It's how much of an idiot we are. Are we like extreme idiots or normal idiots?
I like to think I'm 67% idiot.
Why 67?
You are definitely more like 7. I'm putting 3% up.
67. You know, I don't know. I don't think I'm 65. Nor do I think I'm 70.
I think I'm like, I used to think I was like maybe 60% idiot. But then after this Hannibal thing, I'm like, nah, I'm definitely 75% idiot because I would 100% get myself killed being like, no, he'll spare me. I would just follow him. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm a terrible human. And then 2, he'd kill me. And 3, it wouldn't even be like a pleasant kill. It'd be a painful kill.
I am like 70%.
70%.
No, Summer, you are not. You are just as idiot as I am. You're 75% idiot. As evidenced by today, by missing half the conversation.
I didn't miss it. I didn't like miss it. That was.
Do you think I'm underselling my 67%? Should I also go be up at 75?
I think we should all be 75% idiot.
I think we all are.
I think all in our own ways. Summer, let's not bring up the fact when you went to Target, you thought the mini tent models were actual tents.
Yes, but I'm telling you right now that we're talking about idiots that take really, really dumb decisions. I don't think we take very dumb decisions.
I don't know.
Well, I
we've never
think
been put in that
some
position.
some people may think that me buying this iPad may be a dumb decision.
Some people might. You're right. Some people might. The majority of the folks probably do not.
Do you want to know why? Well, do you want to know why I think it's a dumb decision? Because the reason why I got this iPad was just so I can read a comic book. Did I tell you this? No, I didn't tell you this.
Wait a minute. Why don't you just go buy the Kindle?
No, so I have the Kindle, but the Kindle's black and white, and it's like, you know, it's more for just a book, like just reading a book. You know, with the iPad, it's colorful and it's, you know, I can get to see the artwork. so
for
literally that
for a $10 comic book, decide to spend like $400.
But then, you know, you think of the overall picture of it. It's like maybe not just because of a comic book. I could then use it for some other reason.
80%.
I just want to read a comic book. I just want to see it in color. That's it. That's it.
I think that's dumb.
What do you mean it's dumb?
See, that's what I said.
I think it's dumb. Why buy a really expensive thing just to read a comic book? Dumb. Dumb.
No, I'm going to use it to read a book too.
Dumb. Get a Kindle.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you just Amazon the book?
I did Amazon the book.
So then
it's dumb.
I want to see it in color.
I have a question for you. How much was the book?
I didn't buy the book yet.
How much would the book be?
It would have been like $15, I guess.
Okay, and how much was the iPad?
$429.
Okay, so you spent about $415 over price of the actual book to see it in color. So this is why I think you're dumb. I'm not saying that, you know, you may sometimes you live in your dumb. Sometimes you're like, I know why it's dumb and I'm okay with that. And you're like, all right, fine, as long as you
regret it.
You're dumb. All right?
I'm aware.
All the time. Sometimes Summer will just buy clothes over and over and I'm like, Summer, you have an addiction. Like, that's not good. You're dumb. And she's like, I accept that I am who I am.
An addiction is a mental disability. It is not dumb.
I don't think when I use addiction for Summer, I use it lightly. I use it in idiotic decisions to keep buying clothes. I don't think she actually has an actual addiction. Therefore, there's choice involved, and therefore she's an idiot.
I believe that.
Do you have a mental illness, Summer? You have addiction? Really? We're going to go into this?
I was not going into that. You cut me off. I believe that there is no problem with me buying clothes. And let me tell you why.
Oh my God.
Because it benefits multiple people. It not only benefits me initially, but people get to buy clothes. And then they go and get donated.
You know, Summer once donated a couple of shirts that had tags on them still.
I didn't know.
Oh my gosh.
You know, Summer,
boy.
Every 6 months has to clean out her closet and there are tags on these shirts. She's like, yeah, I didn't like how it looked. And we'll donate them.
Why don't you return it?
I don't know. I am donating. I'm giving back. I'm giving it back.
it's the height. It's the height of an issue of idiocity, and you're
But-
also having little Bangladeshi workers sew these shirts for no money. So it's like, I think you're pretty neutral on the giving back to society
Listen,
part.
I'm not. Listen, I hate if those are little kids or whoever, factory workers working for terrible, money. I hate it. But you know what? I also want to put a little something in perspective. If they're being ordered to make 100 shirts, they're gonna still make the 100 shirts, whether I buy.
Oh my gosh.
Basically, what Summer does is she buys those shirts sewn by those Bangladeshi boys and girls, and then return it back to them, being like, "Hey, I donated it."
No,
And they're like, "Well, we
just 16-year-olds and freaking
Nope.
oh, blank that out in in nice areas, the Goodwills that they go thrift shopping and then they wear her clothes. That's what she's doing. She's not giving back to the Bangladeshi young boys and girls who are in sweatshots.
First of all, that's not necessarily true either, Amna. Yes, sometimes I do it to the Goodwill in the nice towns, but that's just not my fault. Those are the Goodwills around me.
Summer,
Number two, wait a minute, I'm not done. Sometimes they go to workers who are not in very good towns, and they get over there. And sometimes they get packed in suitcases back to Pakistan.
you want to know why I know this idiocity? Because Summer won't even admit to the idiocity. There's no self-reflection to be like, yeah, this is not necessarily always the smartest choice.
Listen, I think that it benefits. This is a benefit, and I'm benefiting the economy.
it's a life cycle. It's a cycle of clothes.
Look, I admit my idiocity. I know that when I binge watch serial killer shows, that's stupid of me, and I
admit that I make dumb purchases sometimes. There are a lot of dumb purchases sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Right.
There are certain clothes that might be dumb purchases, but most aren't.
I don't.
But most aren't.
Summer and I were watching Avatar: The Last Airbender today, and you have just cemented the fact that you are Sokka in that sentence. That's a very Sokka thing to say.
I still have to. It's next on my list of things to watch. I've been caught up. Well, no, I got caught up with The Last of Us 2, the game that came out. So I've been playing that.
Oh my gosh.
So after that, I'm gonna watch Avatar.
You think my clothes issue is bad?
I got a video game. See, I got a video game addiction. Does that count?
Yeah, that's idiocy.
That's idiotic.
Well, idiocity.
Idiocy.
Do it one more time for me.
Idiocity.
Good job.
Okay,
Summer hasn't admitted to one.
Boy, oh boy.
No, okay, I'll admit to an idiocity of mine. I don't think the clothes is one of them.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
But I will admit to something that I really believe is not maybe necessary in life. However, I really, really like it. And that's purses. I get that it's maybe not a good thing to
Let's talk about it.
spend certain amounts of money on purses because you really want it. Because it sounds very I sound very spoiled right now. I swear, I tell you I'm not. But that is where I could say I could probably go to, my local Target and buy a very nice purse versus buying a different type of purse. But I buy the other type of purse because I get excited for that. So that's my, kind of iPad purchase if I'm going to compare it to like Zan's $10 or $15 book. Instead of he bought an iPad, I could buy a $20 purse, but instead I buy something else.
you when you guys put it that way, I have not even thought of it that way. Because for me, I'm like, oh, I got the iPad. I'm just gonna read a book now. Everyone's gonna think I'm so good. Like I'm gonna be reading more books now. And then now all y'all have been doing is just like, well, you just got it for a $15 book. It's like it's true. I didn't think of it that way. You're right. I did get it for a $15 book.
And that's why you did an idiotic thing. And we all do it. We all do it. But that was dumb.
It is.
And I feel like as long as you reflect, like, I own my dumb.
Yeah, it's my money, I guess it's only gonna do Nuxan for me, so
there's that saying, like, you have to make your own mistakes, because you can't blame anyone else.
Exactly. Yeah, I gotta learn from my own mistakes.
And Summer, eventually you're gonna get those purses. You're gonna be like, why? Man, I wish I had this.
Summer's gonna be like neck deep into purses, and she's gonna be like, wait, this is an issue.
Or she'll be like, man, I really could have used $20 right now. Oh, I used it on the purse.
Let me eBay one of these purses.
And I don't want people to think I go buying 10,000 purses in a year. I don't. It's like maybe one purse in a year after saving.
I actually don't think that's idiotic of you. I think you're allowed as a person to get one nice thing every year, right? You're allowed to splurge on yourself, treat yourself,
Yes.
You save your money and you do that. That's not the idiotic. I would still consider your clothes purchases more idiotic.
No, I think that I agree that people are allowed to splurge money on themselves. I'm not saying you should never splurge on yourself. You are, but I think it's idiotic that I'm splurging on only one thing. There's a lot more to life to splurge on. Like maybe a trip to Paris,
Would you rather a Chanel bag or a trip to Paris?
I would like to go to Paris to buy a Chanel bag.
Okay, well, you can't have that option. It's either or. The fact that you've hesitated tells me a lot too. Maybe it is like I would take the trip to Paris 100 times over.
See, that's my problem. Thing is I would like to go to Paris so I can go shop at the original Chanel store and buy one there. I really have to save up a ton of money. Like that would take me like a good 10 years.
Well, at least you got a goal to look forward to. Then you're working towards that Chanel Paris goal.
Yes, but
so you're
sad. So you're gonna save up this. You're gonna save up this money and you're gonna buy this purse, and then it's gonna be out of season in like 2 months.
Yeah, I know.
It's not like you're buying like a limited edition where it's always like it's just you're just gonna buy something that's gonna go out of style.
I don't have like a full $10,000 to just spend on a purse.
Like $50,000, yeah.
I don't have that much money. What I'm looking to do is save up, enough to get to Paris, and then I save up even more, which is going to take me another like 5 years to get that one Chanel bag, which is like their cheapest one.
Interesting.
Well. Is there anything else? I guess
on that note.
On that note.
Follow us at Fabin Friends on Instagram and Twitter at Fabin Friends. Follow us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/FabinFriends. Email us at FabinFriendsPodcast@gmail.com if you have any requests. And rate and review us 4 to 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Podbean, and other platforms. There's so many.
All of them.
All
the platforms.
All of them.
All right. Well, that was a riveting conversation, guys.
Yeah.
We'll have to continue it next
time. We're all
idiots. Yep, we're all idiots. We're all a bunch of idiots.
Good.
All right, boy.
Bye.